What is up, Z fam? Welcome to a new video. Verdansk has been an absolute blast. A lot of players are coming back to play the game that haven't touched the game in years. And because of that, I am dropping you guys the settings that every cracked out sweatband player is using. These are the best of the best controller settings, plus a few extra settings in here I'm going to throw in that you want to be rocking yourselves. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's get into it. Before we get into today's video, I got to thank our longtime stream and freaking Z-Fam partner, SCUF Gaming. Now, you guys obviously know I got my own SCUF controller. We've had a design in the past. This is the newest design on the Riousx. It's a beautiful, beautiful controller. You can use code Zlaner at checkout, and you can go purchase one of those bad boys if you'd like to. But today, I'm here to tell you about the Scuf Valor Pro. A lot of people want to get their hands on a SCUF controller, and now it's a million times easier because this is the most affordable SCUF controller that they have ever released. This bad boy retails for $99.99. And it's got everything you want from a SCUF controller. You get to keep your thumbs on the thumbsticks and have that advantage over other players that have to take their thumbs off the thumbsticks because they don't have back paddles. You can now do that for $99.99 with the SCUF Valor Pro. It's an Xbox controller, and it's compatible with Windows, so obviously you can use it on PC and you can use it on Xbox. And if I'm not mistaken, I think my faceplate and design will eventually be coming out for one of these bad boys. So, yeah, cop yours today, folks, and make sure you use code Zlaner at checkout for a little discount. You can get it even less than $99.99. Wow. Thank you to SCUF for always being a partner to the Z-Fam. Let's get into the video. Alrighty, folks, controller settings. Starting up here. Obviously, controller, button layout, default. I use stick layout. I use this default. Some people, a lot of people like to play some of these different ones that allow you to, you know, crouch with your stick and stuff like that. I personally play holding my controller like this, like claw. I hold my controller like this. A little bit weird, but I do this. So I can push all these buttons without having to take my thumb off the thumbstick if I held my controller the traditional way, right? Now, that's why you buy yourself one of these bad boys right here, a SCUF controller. Sponsor of the community, sponsor of the Z-Fam, W SCUF in the chat. This is my own custom controller. They have paddles built into the back of this controller. Mine don't, just because I don't use the paddles. I use the digital triggers. I use the custom plates. I use a bunch of different settings, or a bunch of different cool customizational stuff, other customizational stuff on the controller, but I don't use the paddles because I play, like I said, I play claw. Now, if you don't want to learn how to play claw, you can buy yourself a SCUF controller. They will have buttons underneath right here, so when you hold your controller the traditional way, these fingers that are usually doing nothing become useful. You could actually start pressing buttons here. Usually people have them set to their jump and their slide, and like 90+% of the professional players in the CDL, people that sweat their ass off on Warzone, whatever it may be, use a custom built controller like that simply because they don't want to take their thumbs off the thumbsticks. Now, the other few percent that play claw. And then obviously there's some people that just don't use it at all, but that is what most people are using. Anyway, let's continue. So there used to be, obviously it used to be like 1 through 20 or 1 through 15, whatever it may have been. That was the settings, but this allows you to be just a little bit more, you know, a little bit more accurate with your sensitivity, because you can go up like decimal points or whatever. It's a little bit more like this. Now 1.6 is going to get you in the range. This is what I used to, this is what I normally use. This is about 7.7 sensitivity, if I'm not mistaken. I would highly recommend for like anyone, I tell them always to stay between like a 4.4 and maybe like a 10.10 maximum. Obviously now this is converted differently. So that would be a 1.2 or to a 2.1. That is about as high as you want to go. 2.1 or as low as a 1.4. Or a, sorry, a one, yeah, like a 1.4, 1.2. I wouldn't really go anywhere lower or higher than that. This is the sweet spot. This is where you want to really, really get nuts. This is where most pros, like if you go look at the average sensitivity in like CDL play, for instance, those guys have the most cracked aim ever. These guys are insane. They're the best of the best. They're all sticking between these kind of the metrics here. Simplify controls off, low motor strain preset off, bumper ping off, swap. Some people like to use this where it just swaps your triggers up to your bumper so you can shoot with those instead. I personally just use them off. Controller vibration. I grew up playing Call of Duty with controller vibration turned on. For some people, that is normal. Some people are like, oh, that's cool. So do I. I use that shit. Now, I don't use it anymore because it's completely useless. Now, maybe I'm about to open up a trip down nostalgic memory lane here for some of you guys. I'm going to unlock a memory that you used to have. But when I was a kid growing up, when I used to use vibration, I used to play on a Xbox 360 with a wireless controller, and whenever that thing was close to running out of batteries, the vibration would turn off on the controller. Do you guys remember that? I remember every single time it would remind me to switch my batteries, because the second that I didn't have vibration, I felt so off. It felt so weird playing the game. Now, that is just because I was always using it turned on. If you turn it off, it's going to feel weird at first. But once you get used to it, it is better than having it on. Why? Why do you want your controller to be shaking in your hands? Yes, you can make the argument. You can say, well, it kind of lets you know when you get shot, but the screen lets you know when you get shot. The visual cues let you know when you get shot. You can react to just that. You don't have to react to what's vibrating in your hands. Plus, you don't want a controller to be shaking when you're trying to shoot a gun. You know what I mean? You just don't want that. You want to turn it off. If you like it and you can't get over it and you can't get used to it, sure, go ahead and keep it on. But I'm telling you right now, there's really no reason to, and I promise that you will get used to it. Any of these settings that I have on here right now that you try and you switch over and you just say, oh, I can't get used to them, I don't like them, you need to give it time. You have to give it time. If you don't give it a week or 2 or 3 of kind of playing a little bit under average than what you're used to, you're not going to get used to it, but you will get used to it. You got to trust me on that. It's just is a fact. I know what it feels like to want to change my sensitivity or change certain things, and then I feel like ass for a little bit. But then once I get used to it, it's like I've never was on anything different. You know what I'm saying? This is a big one right here. Dead zones. Let's get into the dead zones real quick. So dead zones are a tricky one. Dead zones, a lot of people always want to know, like, what dead zone should I be using? It's a case-to-case thing. It depends on your controller. It depends on how much stick drift your controller has. Usually controllers, after a long period of being utilized, will start getting something called stick drift. Now, I'll show you what that is. Let me turn this up to 5, okay? And then, or actually, yeah, let me turn it up to 5, and then I'll turn this on. See this stick over here on the right? You see how I'm moving it around, okay? The dead zone is basically like the sensitivity of like how sensitive it is, like from when you touch it and move it, like when is it gonna move, basically. So on your right stick, 5 is like really good. That's like really nice and low. A 5 on the right stick is good. Notice how there's no real stick drift anywhere. No stick drift. Now watch this. When I turn this off and I turn this down a little bit, let's put it down to 0. Look at my right stick. See how it's shaking a lot right now? I'm not touching it right now. I'm not touching it. Now I'm touching it. But look, if I slightly move it the wrong way, boom. See how it's shaking, 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 shaking? That is due to stick drift. Now, my controller is really good. Like, this is a fresh, brand new controller. Like, you're going to get that stick drift, like that little bit of shakiness no matter what, if you put it down to 0 like this. But for most of you guys, if you put it down to 0 and you've been using your controller for a long time, this R right here, like this right stick, is just going to be, it's going to be doing its own thing. It's going to have a mind of its own. Like, if you've ever had your stick drift like super low, if you've ever turned this down to 0 and you have a really bad stick drift on your controller and you load it into a game, you're going to see your character just slowly like turning around the screen like this. You know what I'm saying? So what I like to do, a general rule of thumb, you don't really want to go above a 5. Okay. If you're having stick drift at 5, okay. If you're seeing stick drift here, I'm not seeing no stick drift. If you're seeing stick drift here at 5, that means that your controller, you've used that bad boy probably for a minute, and it might be time to consider getting a new one, or like fixing the stick drift, because you don't want to be really above a 5. You don't really, well, you can maybe go up to 10. You maybe don't want to be above like a 10, because you see how that red, see that red right there? See what it shows right here? Now for it to activate, boom, it activates out here. The amount that I have to pull on the stick till it activates is a lot more. That's why you want to get as low as you possibly can, but like I said, the lower you get, the more you might end up getting stick drift. So here's what I play on. I play on 1-3. Again, this is for this particular controller. Your left stick is fine. You can kind of keep this one pretty low, and you want to keep the left stick maximum down. I bring it down to 75. You don't want to go too much lower than that, but the reason why is because, look, stick drift, it doesn't matter as much on the left one because you're always kind of moving around. You want to activate, you want to keep this one low anyway, like down to 0 or 1 anyway, because you want to activate that rotational aim assist. You want your character to always get that rotational aim assist, which is what you get when you're moving your left stick at the same time as your right stick, or just while you're moving and you're shooting. So I keep mine on 1. Left stick max, you keep it on 75 because look at this. Normally, see, this is going to be max threshold. If I set it to 99, which it normally is set to, this is default, I have to go, for me to get maximum sprint, I have to go all the way up here. This is how far I have to go, like I'm pushing up on my stick. This is how far I have to go to get there. If I turn this down to 75, now this is how far I have to go. Boom, boom. Now I'm full sprint, full sprint, full sprint right there. It's just a subtle change. You're not gonna, it's not gonna make a world. I swear these settings aren't going to instantly turn you into a pro. It has nothing to do with that. They make the differences for sure. They make differences, but it's like, you know, it's not massive. I would say it's important to obviously get your settings right, but I'm just saying, like, I'm just making sure I keep that in your minds here. You got to play the game a little bit to get a little cracked. Right stick max, I keep that on 99. Keep that on 99. Right stick minimum, I have mine down to 3, but again, make sure you tinker with this a little bit. Hopefully I explained that enough for you guys. Now we're on sensitivity multiplier. We're going to show more here. The only thing I have changed here is my ADS sensitivity multiplier. This is your sensitivity when you're ADS. Default is just set to 1. If you have it on 1, this is just going to be like 1 for 1. Like when you aim in, it's just gonna stay on this default, and your ADS sensitivity is just gonna stay defaulted. I moved mine just ever so slightly down to 0.90. I've played on 1. I've played on this. I've swapped back and forth over the years. It's again not these are subtle changes. For me, it feels a little stickier. The aim assist feels a little stickier on 0.9. That's where I keep it. That's what I personally play on. All these other ones you can obviously change if you want to, but I keep mine all set to default. Look inversion, I keep that on standard. Aiming, advanced settings. This one's going to be very important for you guys to change. Very, very important for you guys to change. This is usually set to gradual. You want to switch this to instant. So this is your ADS sensitivity transition timing. Instant sensitivity multiplier is applied immediately when aiming down sights. Gradual, it makes it so that it progressively applies your ADS sensitivity when alternating between hip fire to fully zoomed in. I personally just use instant. If you use gradual and you're used to it, go ahead. Like I said, a lot of these settings are just basically like a baseline. I want to give you guys these settings so that you can kind of use it as like a reference sheet, and then whatever you personally like, because a lot of settings is about what you personally like. There's some shit that some pros use that are so like random that like most people would be like, what? I don't want to use that. And it's just because they got used to it. I know players like Destroy that wears his headset backwards. I swear to you, I know that sounds crazy, but he wears it backwards. So right side footsteps are coming from his left and left are coming from his right. That makes no sense to some of you guys probably, and it makes no sense to me as well. Well, it does. It makes sense to me because I know how he got used to that. I've talked to him before. Envoy does it. He's in the CDL. He also wears his headset backwards. I think these guys basically, when they were kids and they played the game, they just started that way. You know what I'm saying? They just played with their headset on backwards, got used to it. It's muscle memory. And then eventually you just get used to it. Your brain fucking gets used to it. It's crazy and it's weird, but anyway, that's just an example I'm trying to give. Third person ADS correction type, that's just on assist. This is just default. I just keep that on assist. Aim response curve type. This is a massive one, ladies and gentlemen. Massive right here. This is what it's set to by default. This is what you want to set your aiming to. Let's just put it this way. Let me tell you why you want to set it to this, okay? It says ideal for more experienced players, fast starting movement that slows down to the aiming rate, reverse S-curve mapping. I can read you out what all these things say, okay? And we can go over what they all mean, and they mean what they mean. But folks, let me just put it this way. Aim assist in Call of Duty over the last, I don't know when dynamic became an option, okay? But whenever it did, aim assist got crazy. And aim assist is stronger than it's ever been, ever. And dynamic is a big reason for that. Standard, you can still gun people. I know a lot of buddies that play on standard. Some people that play on linear. I think D might play linear. I think he maybe has switched to dynamic now, but 99% of professional players in the CDL. I like to use CDL as a good reference because those are some of the best shooters in the world when it comes to just straight gunny. They use dynamic. And they all laugh at how broken it is. It is insanely good. It's so good. This aim response curve type, you want to switch it to dynamic and just test it out for sure. Custom sensitivity per zoom. I just have this turned off. Yeah, I was going to say, should be just set to 1. I just keep this turned off because it's just going to be 1. It's just going to be defaulted to 1 when I zoom in on any of these like low zooms and stuff like that. So, and I already have my ADS sensitivity set to 0.9. Anyway, that's it for aiming advanced settings. Target aim assist on, ADS to aim assist on, motion sensor behavior off, motion sensor advanced settings. I don't think there's really anything in here. Over to movement, ladies and gentlemen. Sprint assist. You want to turn this to tactical sprint assist. This will give you automatic tac sprint, so that when you push in on your running button, you will instantly start sprinting fast. Once you, again, this is another one of those settings that if you do not use it, at first you're going to be like, oh, this is weird, but that's just because your muscle memory has not locked in yet. You're used to doing what you did before, which was having to double click in on your thumbstick or click in on your thumbstick, whatever. Now you can just do this and push forward, and I promise, 1, it'll save your thumb a lot of pain, and 2, it's just broken. I mean, it's G8 in CDL because they think it's too broken, and yeah, I mean, it is really good to be able to just instantly tactical sprint, not have to click in, and just less buttons to click, and it's really nice. Turn your sprint assist delay down to 0, and then I have these on Sprint assist sideways and sprint assist backwards. I have both of those turned on. Mantle assist. This is a big one here. You want to turn this off. Sideways, backwards, all this shit. Tight, off. You want to just turn that off right here. You don't want to like low mantle, any of that on. Corner slice, I have that turned off. This is just a visual thing. You can keep this on if you want to. This is just more of like a visual thing. I mean, you know, when your character like corner slices, like looks around a corner and kind of does this and this on walls, you're still sticking out as much as you are when you're just aiming in like normally. It's just up to you whether you want to use it or not. Slide/dive behavior, ladies and gentlemen. This is another massive one, folks. Any of these are fine, okay? You can use these, but if you want to eventually take your game to the next level, hybrid is the one you want to be using because it allows you to dive, it allows you to slide without any delays. Because here's the thing, if you use tap to slide, there's a delay. You want to switch that over to slide only. Okay, that's what I used before. Slide only, slide only. So then you turn your dive off completely, but it gets rid of a delay that happens when you try to slide. If you're using this, there is like a slight delay. So you want to switch to slide only. But if you want to take it to the next level, you switch to hybrid. That allows you to dive again, but you just have to push in on your thumbstick when you do it. And again, it's one of those things that I had to get used to. It took me a week or two, but once I got used to it, it was worth it because now I can dive again with no delay to my slide. It's very, very useful. Automatic airborne mantle. This shit is turned off. Sprint restore, you want that on. Slide maintain sprint, that is on. Parachute automatic behavior, I have this turned off. You can do whatever you want here, but I just do off because you want to be able to pull your parachute when you want to. You want to sometimes be able to drop super low and then pull your chute last second instead of it automatically doing it for you. Mantle cancels reload. Movement advanced settings. Another big one to go into right here. Grounded mantle, this is usually on. You want to turn this off. You just don't want to be mantling onto stuff automatically, guys. You want to do it yourself. You want to have full control of your character. So you want to be able to, you're still going to be able to mantle in the game when you turn these mantle settings off. You just don't want the game to be doing it for you. Let me give you an example. You ever been in a gunfight and you're shooting at this guy and you just randomly grab something and do a pull up mid gunfight and he shoots you and you get annoyed and you're like, damn, I didn't mean to mantle on that. Well, these settings are why. You want to turn off the mantle settings so you can have full control yourself. Plunging underwater, I have this set to free. You can have it on trigger. It just allows you to look down and move forward to plunge underwater instead of sprint and look down to plunge underwater. Sprinting door bash is turned on. Vehicle advanced settings. I do have a couple things changed here just for Warzone. Now that vehicles are like your main way of transportation, you actually kind of, when you use them way more often. The only thing I have changed is free look and the recenter. So usually this is set to short delay, I think. So what this will do is, like, if you're driving in a vehicle and you look left or right, it'll recenter the camera for you without doing it for you. I turn this, you want to turn this off because you want to have full control. Again, sometimes you're driving and you want to look left and you want to just keep looking left for a while to look at, maybe you're looking at an enemy, you're keeping your eyes on your opponent over here. Sometimes if you have this turned on short delay or even on a delay at all, it'll just recenter and you might lose track of where you are. So you just want to have full control. You can recenter yourself already when you have this turned off. You just have to do it yourself. And a lot of these are just defaulted. I'm trying to look at the most important ones. Armor plate behavior, you want to set this to apply all. You don't want to do one by one. It used to be set like that by default. I think this is now the default now, but make sure this is set to apply all. C4 detonation activation, I like to do one by one. So when I throw a C4 out, I can just boom. I can pop one C4. I can double square hit. Boom. Pop a C4 quickly instead of having to throw both of them and then detonating them together. Okay, no, this is important stuff right here. Combat advanced settings, guys. Prioritize interact. Whenever you guys are watching a streamer playing on controller and you think that maybe he's on mouse and keyboard because he's looting super quickly, he's picking up plates and he's looting chests and he's doing it all super, super fast. It's because he does not need, and I do not need, and you will not need when you have it set to prioritize interact to hold to open chests and to pick up loot. You won't have to hold your pickup button. You will just be able to tap, 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 tap. Now, you're going to have to get used to something, which is holding to reload, holding the reload button to reload when you're standing on top of loot or you are standing in something that you can interact with. It's going to prioritize interact. So how you can still reload when let's say you're standing in a pile of loot, you're hiding in a dead body or something and there's loot on you and you want to reload your gun, but you keep tapping the button and it's picking up weapons and you can't reload. Hold the reload button and you'll be able to fully reload. Just get used to it. It's way better to be able to loot faster and have to sometimes reload that way. You don't always have to reload that way, by the way. If there's nothing on your screen, no door to open or vehicle to get into or trophy system to pick up or anything you can interact with, you can still just tap and it'll reload like normal. So just make sure you get used to this. Again, I think this is set to default now on Warzone, but I could be wrong. Make sure you have that on. And that is, I mean, that's basically it, folks. That is all you need to dominate on controller. I'm telling you, that's all you need. Whether you're on PS5, whether you're on the Xbox, whether you're on PC using a controller, these are the only settings you're going to need. I'm telling you right now, go out there and slam the lobby. Start tucking them. Start tucking them. And then I'll just quickly go over my graphic settings for you guys. I like this could, Rio, you could just throw this in the video. I'm not going to really go over much of them, but if you guys want to just copy mine, this is what I use. I'll just run through them super quick. Here's the quality, fidelity cast. You want to turn that up to 100. All this stuff. Boom, boom, boom. View, lease. You want to make sure these are set to 50% shake. You don't want your camera to be shaking. That's basically it. That's basically it, guys.